Hello, and welcome to the next GM Report video. Now, I've chosen this particular spot to record this at because I was walking through here and I just happened to see dragonflies flying around, so maybe you'll be able to spot some of those in the background? Who knows? So, I've got a fair few things to talk about this time. So, the first thing is that I do think that I should probably make up a list of foods, specifically for Willis, because I've noticed that Willis has a tendency to ask for the menu, and so if I just make up a list of maybe 10-15 items, then that I think would give him a nice bit of extra immersion. So that's something I might do. Actually, if I turn a bit this way, then you might be able to see dragonflies over in those bushes. I don't know if there are any there currently or not. Who knows? The next thing is... Oh, right, I should have probably said this first. I've decided not to record prep videos for every session because for some of the sessions, it's basically nothing to prep. It's only very small stuff that I don't think anybody would get a lot of use out of, and so instead I'll mention those things in the report video after the session. So one of those things is I came up with a name for the thing that Ka's friend was looking for in the island, and I've decided to call it one of the tomes of Archmagic, or Archmagics, which I've decided in my lore is going to be a series of books that were written at the behest of Mystra, the goddess of magic itself, because she really wants the use of magic to spread, and she really wants mortals to use magic as much as possible, and so it makes sense that she would order these books to be written with her own knowledge about magic in them. Well, a fraction of it, of course. And these books would, of course, make it much easier for any sort of wizard or magic user who doesn't have innate magic, or even then still maybe, to increase their abilities. And so Ka's friend, being a magic user who's just beginning and learning still, this was a lure for him, and he bit the lure and there was a hook on it, so yeah, unfortunate. Right, so the next thing is the scrying targets, as I've called them, are my own invention. There's not as far as I know, there's not a spell or a wondrous item in the source material that acts like this, but in my world building, I've decided that this is something that makes sense because Zinthar is using them, and the Green Matriarch was using them, and so that, I think, just gives a lot of storytelling potential. The next thing is the Dragon Eye not giving identifications for scrying magic enchantments is because the government uses them, so Zinthar is just exploiting this. So the Green Matriarch, and through her the council, are using these scrying objects, these scrying targets, and so they don't want their own magic shop telling people, oh yeah, people are watching you through this, and so that's why the magic shop has been told that they can't give away that these objects have scrying enchantments on them. Now, Zinthar, of course, found out about this and thought, oh, well, this is handy. I can just put this scrying magic, this really high up scrying magic that I know about, onto these objects, and the government's own plans are going to prevent them from finding out about this. So, yeah. Right. Oh yes, the gauntlets are of course similar to the headband of wizardry, which is in the divination mini dungeon, in regards to it being a scrying target. Now, I don't know if I actually said about the headband of wizardry or not, but in the divination school mini dungeon that the party are going to be led to, behind those locked doors where the dice thing, you know what I mean. I've decided to put a headband of wizardry, which gives a +1 to the spellcasting DC of all first level spells if worn by, well, to whoever is wearing the headband. Now, this also acts as a scrying target. It has a scrying target enchantment on it. And so this is the idea behind this is basically any wizard who gets put through this trial and who manages to come across and get to the end of that gauntlet, one of those words, is someone that Zinthar wants to keep an eye on. And so having them have this shiny object that is then a scrying target would be useful. Now, the gauntlets don't have any other enchantments on them, except that they have to stay on the individual. But maybe this is just Zinthar testing stuff. Maybe thought, well, I could put these other expensive enchantments on this, so people will want to wear it, or I could just make them not be able to take it off. So maybe he's just playing around with that. But yeah, they're basically the same kind of object in that regard. Next is... Alright, so in the moment, when they asked whether they could trace who the scryer is, I hadn't thought about that before. But I thought about it in the moment and have come to the conclusion that it's crucial that it's not traceable. Because if it were traceable, then, well, the government, so the council and the Green Matriarch, could just figure out which scrying objects, well, which scrying targets are their own and which aren't. In which case, nobody could exploit that. And so, since Zinthar is exploiting that, it kind of has to be the case that it can't be easily traced. Maybe there can be some high-up magic that's really powerful that can trace it, but nothing that would be readily available. Also, I watched back the stream archive before these videos, but when I make my notes, and I did say about a dozen Scaleguard, so I did say it correctly. Right, then when Maima said, when Kango said, I've got spider climb, thinking about what to do in response to the situation that they were in and that she was in the back of the shop with the Scaleguard. And so, because I, of course, want my players to succeed and to win and to escape these sorts of situations, when I heard this, I immediately thought, okay, is there a way that I could present where this could be a way out of the situation? And so I decided, okay, well, I already described the stairwell. Maybe there's a skylight at the top. And so if you could climb up there and get out that way. Because in that way, the player character's ability would be useful, plus it would be an idea that the player had come up with. And so that's what I did. I described the situation and that, well, there is a skylight up there. And yeah, so I want the players to win, so I put in a way out. Now, I won't always do that if the players know about a dangerous situation that they're going into, and it's mostly if it's something done as a group, or if it's something really stupid, then I won't necessarily create new ways out of trouble that the players get themselves into. But in this instance, it really felt like it wouldn't be fun for anybody if Mima did actually get captured and they had to go in and break her out or get her free, all that stuff. Especially since the players had been in the city for so long and they haven't even left it yet, and they were just about to leave it. And then if this happened, that wouldn't be fun. So I put in a new way to escape the situation, basically. The next thing is, this also kind of plays into it, which is that I did play the scale guards as being a little bit stupid. Because, ignoring the fact that Arkan was speaking common instead, and not asking any further questions about what's happening, basically just blindly trusting and going along with it. If those had been creatures with a higher intelligence score, then I would have made that more difficult, or have put a few more obstacles in the way of them falling for this ploy. But because they are reptilian, basically, and their intelligence score isn't that high, I decided, well, sure, let's just move things along, and I will still put rolls in the way, because this isn't supposed to be just, okay, you win, but I didn't make it as difficult to win as I would have otherwise made it. Also, I think my talking has scared away the dragonflies, maybe. Anyway. So I did that, and I'm really quite happy that the players are burning their bridges behind them, kind of, and that they are now basically forcing themselves to get out of the city and actually explore the world and get on with the adventure out there. Which, of course, I love the players exploring the city. And I've talked about this before, how much I enjoy the players actually finding out about the world building I've done and exploring all these things and being really into that. But there is also something to be said for moving on with the actual plot and exploring the wider world. So both in game and in real world. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything for now. I was debating whether or not to include a few bits of preparation for the next session in this video already, but considering that I'll probably have to come up with the stat blocks for the Monsters of Uncertainty, or whatever I'll call them, in Veil Rift. Because if the players don't decide to go into this dungeon that Sorum wants to lure them into, if they just continue on anyway, then, well, they'll probably arrive at Veil Rift in the middle of the night, and then I'll need those stats. So that's gonna be interesting to come up with, and so I'll do that in an actual separate video format. So with that, good night. Well, it's not night yet, but good night anyway. Bye-bye.